This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Asia continues to draw liquefied natural gas, LNG, from Europe with imports in July rising to the most in 6 months, even as spot prices stayed near 7-month highs. The top importing region is on track for arrivals of 24.85 million metric tons of the super chilled fuel, up from 22.60 million in June and the highest since January's 26.19 million, according to data compiled by commodity analysts Kepler. In contrast, Europe's imports are tracking at 6.56 million tons for July, the lowest since September 2021 and down from 7.21 million in June. Europe's LNG imports have declined every month since December, when they were 11.75 million tons, or almost double the level expected for July.
Oil prices rose on Monday, pairing last week's loss, on fears of a widening conflict in the Middle East following a rocket strike in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, which Israel and the United States blamed on Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. Brent crude futures gained 33 cents, or 0.4%, to $81.46 a barrel at 0425 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude futures climbed 23 cents, or 0.3%, to $77.39 a barrel. Last week, Brent lost 1.8% while WTI fell 3.7% on sagging Chinese demand and hopes of a Gaza ceasefire agreement.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
A federal appeals court said on Friday it rejected the Environmental Protection Agency's decision in 2022 to deny small oil refineries temporary waivers from the nation's biofuels blending program, and sent the matter back to the agency for review. The decision by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia is a win for the refining industry, which has long opposed federal requirements under the renewable fuel standard that they add biofuels such as corn-based ethanol into the nation's fuel. The RFS was designed to help farmers and to reduce U.S. petroleum imports, but oil refiners, particularly smaller independent ones, say the program imposes costs that put their businesses at risk. The EPA can award exemptions to small refiners if they prove the obligations cause them undue harm.
Egypt's Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources signed 2 agreements with international companies on Sunday to invest $340 million to boost oil and gas production in the Mediterranean and Gulf of Suez. After discussions between Egypt's Petroleum Minister Karim Badawi and executives from international oil and gas companies, a $222 million investment deal with Shell Egypt and Malaysia's Petronas was signed to boost natural gas production in the Mediterranean's West Delta region. The deal includes the drilling of 3 wells and establishment of marine facilities. A $120 million agreement with Cheiron Energy was also signed to increase oil production in the Gulf of Suez. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Prices of safe haven gold climbed on Monday on heightened geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and amid expectations of a U.S. rate cut in September, while focus shifted to the Federal Reserve's policy meeting due later this week. Spot gold rose 0.4% at $2,394.88 per ounce, as of 0419 GMT. U.S. gold futures firmed 0.5% to $2,393.20. Prices will hold a range ahead of the Fed meet and Chair Jerome Powell's comments. If we get a clearly dovish stance and softer jobs data, prices could head towards $2,450, said Kelvin Wong, OANDA's senior market analyst for Asia Pacific.
Iron ore futures prices dipped on Monday, weighed down by concerns about a persistently weak steel market and adverse weather in top consumer China. The most traded September iron ore contract on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange ended morning trade 0.26% lower at 778 yuan, $107.22 a metric ton. The benchmark August iron ore on the Singapore Exchange was 0.7% lower at $101.45 a ton, as of 0335 GMT. Most steel benchmarks on the Shanghai Futures Exchange posted losses. Rebar shed around 0.4%. Hot-rolled coil and wire rod lost about 0.9% each, while stainless steel gained 0.8%.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
India will make a decision on sugar industry calls for a hike in the minimum selling price, MSP, in the coming days, a senior government official said on Saturday, adding that ethanol policies would be set before the start of the next season. India, the world's largest sugar consumer, restricted the use of sugar in ethanol production during the 2023-24 marketing year that ends on September 30th and also prohibited exports to keep a lid on domestic prices. We are discussing the MSP proposal. In the coming days, we will hopefully take a call, Food Secretary Sanjeev Chopra told reporters during a conference.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.